Shall we begin?
Welcome back. Today in the spotlight, the all-new Mastercraft 052-1899-2 for your multimeter pleasure. Let's take a look. Canadians will know the Mastercraft name. It is par for the course here in Canada. If you're Canadian, you will definitely have a Mastercraft of some sort in your toolbox. We have a chain here called Canadian Tire, which distributes the Mastercraft name, brand, and these things are everywhere. The 052-1899-2. Wow, what a mouthful. Come on, Mastercraft, can you not make the naming scheme just a little simpler? Anyways, this is at the top of the Mastercraft multimeter food chain. Yes, this is as good as it gets for a Canadian Tire Mastercraft meter. This meter is also sold under another brand name called Allsun as the EM5510. Being a top-of-the-line Mastercraft multimeter, you'd expect to get a few goodies, and goodies you do. Yeah, there's a plethora of components that come with this. Starting with this really nice case. This is actually one of the better cases I have seen come with a multimeter in quite some time. Super thick, lots and lots of padding, and generally speaking, your device will be well protected. Now, my device came with two thermocouples, actually, one of the standard cheapo varieties, and as well, it came with a much better variety. It has that solid steel sensor tip. Yeah, really nice for those hard to get to places. Good quality. Yeah, you don't see that every day. As well, we get our standard test leads. Now, unfortunately, these are sort of ho-hum in terms of overall functionality. I think they're really on the small side. These have a rating of Cat 3, 300 volts, so yeah, definitely should be able to meet that spec. They have the tips that come off, and they have a 10 amp rating inside. But like I said, these are just really tiny, just too small. I mean, I don't have the world's biggest hands by any means, but I just find them just too small. Why so small? We look at the other side, have your typical shroud, and once again, it is a little bit on the small side. That being said, it does fit fairly well, and really it's not going to be going anywhere. Of course, you get that 9-volt battery. This is just a no-name generic 9-volt. And finally, we get our manual. Now, because this is Canadian made, it is in both official languages, English and French. And that being said, the manual is actually fairly decent. If we take a look at the feature set on that rotary selector switch, you can see this is not your typical multimeter. Let's take a look. Starting off at the 9 o'clock position, we have our off, followed by volts, AC/DC, resistance, continuity and diode, capacitance, frequency and duty cycle, temperature in Celsius only, relative humidity, dB or decibels, lux, microamps, AC/DC, milliamps, AC/DC. Finally, high current amps, AC/DC. Finally, because we live in Canada, they are mandated to put the markings in both official languages. So here we have the function in English and French, followed by the range selector, frequency and duty cycle, and finally the rel mode. At the bottom below that, we have our hold, and we have the backlight button here. Finally, we have a nice ETL listing. Intertech tells us all of the standards that this has been tested for, and that is really nice to see because you don't see that too often, especially when it's right in your face. I like it. At the bottom, we have our high amp 10 amp current. It is fused. It says a maximum of 10 amps every 15 minutes. Beside that, we have our milliamp / temperature. The milliamp is rated at 400 milliamps. Over here we have our common or ground. And finally, the far right, we have our voltage, resistance, frequency, diode, and capacitance. Alrighty, Aphrodite, we're going to turn the meter on for the first time. Here we go. And bada boom, bada bing, bada bang, we have liftoff. Now, what did you notice? Yeah, there was no beep. In this day and age of beeping multimeters, we don't have that annoying chirp going on every time we change a range. I like it. I like it. Silence can be golden. Now this meter is one chunky little funky meter. It is the funky chunk. And if you do pick one up, you're definitely going to find that it's definitely thick. Yeah, it's big. And on the back, the tilt stand itself, it's actually a little on the small side. Interesting. It just doesn't really seem to go with the oomphness of the meter. It's a little tiny. But that being said, it does seem to be okay in terms of usability. Just wish it was maybe a little bit, you know, higher. Higher. I said, okay, we get the idea. Overall, fairly decent feeling in the hand and has some weight to it. Now, once again, this is identical to the Allsun EM5510. They are one and the same meters. Now, one thing I have to point out is that this is a very sensitive meter. No, I don't mean you have to talk to it softly. No, it does a lot of sensing. We've got 3 sensors at the top. We have here the sound sensor. We've got the light sensor because it does lux. And over here we have our humidity sensor. So 3 different sensing capabilities all located at the peak of the meter. This is 4,000 count non-true RMS multimeter. Let's get testing. I'm gonna start things off with a DC accuracy test. Now, I gotta say, the first thing I would probably do after buying this meter is get a new set of test leads, because these leads definitely, they just suck the big one. Oh God, they just feel so dang cheap. Shame on you, Mastercraft. You could have done better than that. Oh, I just really don't like them. But you know what? It's what comes with the meter, and that's what you get for your money. Speaking of money, this guy, I got him on sale. You ready for this? 40 bucks Canadian. This thing normally retails for $80 to $90 Canadian, but I got it for 40, and I've seen it on sale for a long time now for 40. So that is why it is in the cheapo zone. Alrighty, we should be looking at 250 millivolts, and whoa, that is off. Let's get these leads back on here again. Well, that's better. Not. Good God, that is really hot. Good, not good at all. Let's move from millivolts to volts. 2.5 is what we want to see. And again, wow, this is really out of spec. 2.515, 1.5 volts over. Jeez, not good at all. Ah. Now, just because that is way off for my liking, I'm going to take the probes, put it on hold, take the probes off, and let's just stick it in another Mastercraft. This is the 0052-2, and let's see if we can do any better. All right, I'll put this jack back on. We want to see 2.5 volts, and look at that. Yeah, so it is not the test leads. That's what I wasn't sure. I wanted to negate that variable. It is not the test leads. It is the freaking meter. So quite a difference. 2.500 spot on for the 0052 and 2.515 for the 1899. Wow. Already I've got the Canadian Tire, aka Mastercraft family of multimeters lined up for a quick head-to-head DC voltage test. We're sitting right now at 2.2 volts. On the far left, we have the 0055-6. In the middle, the 0052-2. Star of the show, the 1899-2. And finally, on the right, the 0060-2. Gosh, I hate the naming scheme. Okay, sitting at 2.2 volts right now. 2.25, 2.25, 2.26, and 2.21. Let us take it up and away to a whopping 4.2 volts, 4.22, 4.21, 4.2, and 4.1. So pretty close thus far. Giving it some more juice. 10.2 volts right now. 10.3 for the 55. 10.3 for the 52. 10.3 for the 1899. And 10.2 for the little 60. Okay. We're going to be going to 23.3 volts. And of course, we have 2 non-auto ranging meters here. We're going to move up the selector, get us back in the game. 23.3 according to the power supply, 23.5, 23.4, 23.5, and 23.1. Okay, let's max it out now. 31.7 volts, 31.8 for the 55, 31.7 spot on for the 52, 31.9 for the 1899, and 31.3 for the 60. There you have it, folks. So in terms of accuracy, by far the 0052 wins this one hands down. None of these meters has a bar graph. That really is a shame, especially when you're getting into the price range of these guys. Yeah, they should really have a bar graph. Now, if I fluctuate the voltage, let's just see how quick they are to settle. Sitting at 14.1 volts. And yeah, surprisingly, the 52 was the last to settle. 14.2, 14.2, 14.2, 13.9. So very interesting. Overall, I'm going to give this one to the 0052. It is just by far and away the most accurate of the bunch. Now let's take a look at the display itself. Really, really gorgeous backlight on the 52. I mean, that is just sweet. We have the blue backlight on the 1899, and once again you can tell that both of these backlights stay on indefinitely, something we just don't see on multimeters these days. Finally, for the 55, turn the backlight on. It is a nice green hue again, but this will only stay on for about 20-30 seconds, and we don't even have a backlight option on the little 60. But once again, in overall terms of the display, I'm going to give it again to the 52. It is just so darn good looking. I really like that display. Next up is resistance mode. We're going to take a look at the resistance quickly, see how good or not so good this puppy is. Let's start off by checking these crappy leads and seeing if they have any resistance in the leads. And oh my goodness, that really shocks me. Was not expecting that. So nothing to rail out here. Let us stick it in the resistance box, and we're sitting at, let's bring it up to a nice and even 1 mega ohm, and pretty darn close, 5 mega ohm. Now this has a 40 mega ohm maximum, 9 mega ohm. So yeah, I mean, in terms of your basic resistance, it seems to be okay. I've got an old precision reference here, a voltage reference, and we've got a really nice 36.4 mega ohm resistor, 1% tolerance. Let's see how close we can get with the Mastercraft. Here we go. 36.4 is what we want to see. And hey, look at that, 36.3. Very nice. Finally, we take a look at a 0.5 ohm, 5% tolerance resistor. Wow. So in terms of resistance, this meter is actually quite good in terms of overall. Diode mode is next. Here we go, starting off with a standard diode. And no problems measuring the forward voltage. Next, we're going to look at LEDs, starting off with the green LED, and no, nothing there. All right, let's try the yellow. Oh, wow. Nothing. Over to the red. Whew, no can do. Over to the blue. Nope. Nope, yep, no, nada. 0 for 5 on the LEDs. No illumination and no forward voltage drop. No, nothing. Disappointing. In diode mode, maximum output is only 1.5 volts, really paltry, and that explains the really poor showing. Capacitance is next. Now this has a whopping 100 microfarad. Oh, why? 2020 and we can't do better than 100 microfarad. Anyway, you know what? We'll test it anyway. Here we go. Now we do have some parasitic noise on that capacitance range. Look at that. Wow. So we are going to rel that out. Okay. And interesting. And it is still climbing, so not looking good so far in the capacitance mode. Don't like that. Well, we'll just see if we can get anything off of this. 100 microfarad cap. Yeah. Wow. Coming up as 1.1 nanofarad. What the hell is going on? Let's just try that again. Yeah, look at that, eh? Just not good. I'm not even going to bother relling it this time. See if we have anything showing as 1 nanofarad. Okay, fail. Continuity is next. Starting off the default test probes. 3, 2, 1. Well, it's scratchy. It's fairly fast. Actually, it's a lot better than I was expecting. It is not very loud though, but better than I expected. Probe Masters, baby. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. So an improvement, definitely a little bit faster. Not much though. Tiny bit louder. And it doesn't sound nearly as scratchy. Better with the Probe Masters. 50.7 dBAs, maximum output in continuity mode. Next up, AC volts, no problems there, 123.1 volts. Already we are now in duty cycle, 50% duty cycle, hit the frequency button and just under 60 hertz. So hey, what do you know, at least something works. Here we have the temperature mode. Now this has a sensor on board, so you don't have to utilize that thermocouple if you don't need to. And 24.3 showing up as the ambient temperature. I thought I would compare the temperature to a couple of other meters, the Rich Meters RM406 and the Rich Meters 114A. And yeah, look at that. Both of those Rich Meters are showing us around 19.7 to 20 degrees Celsius. So in terms of temperature, the Mastercraft is definitely a little on the high side. Taking a quick look at the humidity, once again we do have a differential 42% for the Rich Meters and 55% on the Mastercraft. Next up is decibel or sound mode. Yes, the Mastercraft also does dBs. Kind of cool, but is it any good? So far, I have not been impressed. This has not been an accurate meter other than in the resistance department. Let's see if the sound is a little bit better, shall we? Okay, so I've got a DT9205A, and I'm going to just do a little continuity with this multimeter, and we'll see how the other three sound meters compare. Here we go. Once again, as you can see, a poor showing for the Mastercraft. The Unity and the other sound meter are both pretty close. 58.7 for the Unity, 57.6 dBA for the other generic sound level meter. And on the right, Mastercraft, it's giving us 66 decibel rating, almost 10 dB more than the other two. So once again, in terms of overall accuracy with these extra settings, not too impressive. Finally, we're going to look at lux on the Mastercraft. This is a kind of a niche feature. Not too many multimeters have it, and I don't have a benchmark to compare it against at the moment, but let's take a look nonetheless. I've got a cheapo Mastech DM91A. I'm going to put it in flashlight mode. Alrighty, so it is in flashlight mode now, and fairly bright on this model. Let us stick it on that sensor, and we can see definitely that lux reading is going up. Take it away, and it's coming back down around 37 lux. Shine that bright flashlight on it, and it does go up exponentially. So definitely the lux is working. How accurate it is, it's hard for me to judge or gauge at this time. So in the frequency department, this did a little bit better than advertised. They're showing us a 200 kilohertz max, To get it to just over 1 megahertz, but after that it just kicks off. But still better than spec. At least we can get up to 1 megahertz. We are going to enter the high voltage zone. Now remember, this has a 300 volt max. The Allsun version is claiming 600 volts. I'm pretty sure this could do 600 as well, but they are stating a 300 volt max. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, high voltage. And there we are. We are just under 1,000 volts. Bring it back down. One more time. So we actually have an audible alert as well, telling us we are in high voltage mode, over 1,000 volts. Take it back down. And it seems to have survived. Looking good. Alrighty, Aphrodite, it is teardown time. Let's take this puppy apart and see what's on the inside. Wow, that is a whole lot of trim pots. Holy moly cannoli. That is insane. Okay, without a doubt, I think this is the most trim pots I've ever seen on a multimeter. Look at that. I mean, what the hell are they thinking? Oh. So if we take a look at the back, yeah, no surprise there. No shielding, just your typical ABS plastic. Here are the connectors for the battery itself, the 1.9 volt battery. Now the nice thing is it is going into a couple of brass inserts, so no worries there when you come to change the battery about stripping your threads. The nice little touch here is you do have that foam where the 9 volt battery sits, just gives it a little bit of shock absorption. So at first glance, you'd think you're looking at a meter that was like 15, 20 years old. Very interesting. We'll get to all these trim pots in a second, but we have a daughter board or riser board as well. This is where the fuses are resting on. Speaking of fuses, we have 2 of them. They're a smaller ceramic style, milliamp, and the high current range. Just verified the fuses. The 10 amp 300 volt and this milliamp is a 500 milliamp 300 volt fuse. So good stuff. Nice to see they are sticking to what they're advertising. It goes in there nice and tight. It doesn't have those little retainers, but nonetheless, I don't think those fuses are going anywhere. Taking a look at those input jacks, yeah, so that daughter board is actually soldered and screwed onto the main board. I cannot pull that off per se, but they're in there pretty well, and you know what? Soldering job-wise, it looks really, really good. So yeah, at least on the inside, things are much, much better. Right below that ground terminal, we have that nice big current shunt as well. On top here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 surface mount diodes, and that is our diode bridge protection. As well, we've got some pretty decent looking high voltage isolation slots over here on that riser board. Moving down the lane, we have one lonely PTC. This is on the and directly on top of that, we have a couple of power series protection resistors over here. Now we have a bevy of trim pots, as you can see. Wow, look at them all. Here we got the trim pot for the voltage. This is for capacitance. Down here is for humidity, light, sound, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, everything is adjustable. Boy, somebody must have had fun with that. Interesting enough, there's a lot of surface mount components here. I'd say probably just as much surface mount as we have through-hole SMD components. The main IC right here is cobbed, and directly on top of that we have our special sensors. So over here we have the audio sensor. They have it labeled as a microphone. Here's the photo sensor or the Luminix sensor, and right beside that we have our relative humidity sensor. I'll just turn those around and you can see, sure enough, yeah, there are these sensors themselves. A lot of op amps on this multimeter. Right here we have a high input impedance low power op amp from Texas Instruments, the TL061, and directly on top of that we have another one from ST Electronics, and as well on the left hand side of the device we have more op amps. This is a 2252C from Texas Instruments as well. So lots of op amps on this here multimeter. Finally, at the top, we have a diode over here, probably for some reverse input protection. That looks like a programming header, and these are the two ceramic base plates for the battery connect. So for the input protection, not a whole lot going on, just that one lonely PTC once again. Yeah, no mods. Where are those metal oxide varistors? Come on. PTCs need a little help every now and then. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just take it apart a little bit more, see what's on the other side. Here we go, doing the old flipperoo. Oh yeah, baby. And there we are. Another wonderful look on the inside. Just your standard ABS plastic housing. Nothing special going on here. Here is the rotary selector switch itself, and it just feeds into the top. And here we are on the reverse side, and you can see really not much else going on here. We have our nice soft touch buttons. And below that, we have our LCD display. Alrighty, let's take it apart even further, shall we? Take off that top, and there we go. Thing of beauty. So look at that. That's where the piezo transducer is hiding, and it is connected via those two spring coil terminals over here at the top of the PCB. So there is our speaker. Here are the selector pads for that rotary selector switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Count them. There they are. And speaking of that rotary selector, there's the rotary selector tracks themselves. Perhaps a little bit more spacing would have been preferable, but there you go. Looks to be, I would say, yeah, it might actually be gold-plated. It's hard to tell these days. A little bit of flux here. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but yeah, there is some flux residue going on this side of the PCB. Here we've got the elastomar zebra strip for our display, and there are the connectors. Once again, this has no non-contact voltage, no gimmicks here, no live wire, what have you, so we don't have that standard NCV which we see on a lot of the other cheapos here at the top. And look at that. And here you see the actual designation, EM5510. So yeah, this is an Allsun meter, rebadged as a Mastercraft. Alrighty, gonna put this all back together if I can find all the screws and come back with my closing thoughts. Closing thoughts on the Mastercraft 1899-2. Pass this one by. Unfortunately, it is not worth your time or money. In terms of settings, the only thing that really impressed me was the resistance setting. It was really accurate. Allsun also offers another model, the EM5511, which is also a radiation tester. And I did happen to see that gauze setting come up on the display, so who knows, with a little bit of a hack, we might even be able to get some more functionality out of this meter. But hey, don't quote me on that one. If you're a Canadian looking to acquire a Mastercraft meter, I would suggest the 0052-2, just overall better functionality and a lot nicer overall look and feel. Mastercraft 052-1899-2 gets a paltry 2 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching this review, everybody! Don't forget we're having that Christmas chat coming up really soon. Check the description below. I'll have the date posted, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope to see you all there. Till the next one, keep on testing. At the top we have our function selection. Finally, we have Lux mode or illumination. So for input protection, not a whole lot. If you're a Canadian in the market for a decent Mastercraft meter, I would highly suggest the